year. Today, it's all gonna be about an Afrobeats takeover. In today's session, Game Changer, we take a look at contemporary Afrobeats, a genre that has conquered the globe in the last couple of years. Before we start, let me quickly introduce my colleagues. On the far left, from your point of view, is David Katz from London. Next to him is radio host and DJ Piato's from Bologna, Italy. Next to me is Anne Köhlings, and I'm Pete Lilly. We are both from Cologne, Germany. Now, let me introduce our guests, some real game changers when it comes to Afrobeats. Right here next to Ellen, we have the Nigerian-born ADESOPE Olajide, also known as SHOPSYDOO, which is much easier. He is a star in his own right. He might not be center stage competing with the likes of Burna Boy or Wizkid, but he is the media personality when it comes to Afrobeats. He played a crucial role in the global popularity of the genre. In 2002, SHOPSYDOO moved to the UK, where he worked for various media outlets, from radio to television, and he was also a talk show and event host. But he is most known for the ADESOPE Live, the Afrobeats podcast, which he started in 2020, and where he had hosted all the greats of the genre, from Stormboy to CK, from Rema to Sarkodie, from Diamond Platinums to Yemi Alade. Welcome the energy god, SHOPSYDOO, to Reggae University. Next to SHOPSYDOO, we have Nigerian singer FLAVOUR Nabania, renamed Chinedu Okoli. Excuse me if I don't pronounce it correct. He certainly changed the game of African music with his unique fusion of highlife and Afrobeats, while showcasing the richness of Igbo culture. From playing drums in a local church to studying music and adding keyboard and guitar to his roster before he turned 20, he is now a veteran in Nigerian highlife music. He commands traditional styles as well as modern Afropop offsprings. He combines being a highlife maestro with the swagger of an international star. Step aside for the game changer, the African royalty. Welcome FLAVOUR to Reggae University. And next to FLAVOUR, we have Ayo SHONAIYA. He is another jack of all trades who was born in London and grew up in Lagos. He studied film and television in the US, as well as law in England and Nigeria. Ayo is an independent filmmaker. He has directed 5 feature films, has worked as a lawyer, talent agent, and artist manager. Having witnessed the evolution of Afrobeats from its beginnings, he has produced the essential Netflix documentary series, Afrobeats, The Backstory, of which we saw the no, it's not the first episode, but one of the episodes that we just saw. It's called Afrobeat and Afrobeats, History and Presence. After this session, we're going to see DJs, producers, and dancehall music, which is another episode from the same series, and it's going to focus also on reggae and dancehall. Welcome Ayo SHONAIYA to Reggae University. And next to Ayo, we have Pretty Okafor, another legend in his own right, who started out as a DJ at age 13. He was born into a royal as well as a musical family in Lagos, Nigeria. He started studying fine arts, but then music took over. In 1988, he teamed up with another young DJ to form the musical duo Junior and Pretty. By pioneering a new genre called Afro hip-hop, they laid the foundation for what is now referred to as Afrobeats. But Pretty is not only a talented musician, he's also a savvy businessman. Be it as event manager, he also is into marketing, public relations, and he seems to feel at home at almost every field. Since 2016, he is president of the Performing Musicians Employers Association of Nigeria, which is kind of a musicians union. Welcome Pretty Okafor to Reggae University. Before we delve into Afrobeats this, I want to play a song that gave this session its name. It's Game Changer by FLAVOUR. Do you have any music?
Yeah, we have music.
Okay.
But no signal, that you send music.
Sorry about this.
Put it on the headphones, the music to his...
I don't know. I didn't do anything really.
Okay, play again.
The emperor, the conqueror, the champion, the lion is here. Zobu, zobu, enyimba, master. Toya dike, nenu dike. Toya dike, nenu dike. Iye jamara dike ruenu, ebwe chenjigo. Iye jamara dike ruenu, ebwe dagarigo.
Game Changer by FLAVOUR. FLAVOUR, you have influenced many of the great Afrobeat superstars that we all know. Who or what has influenced you to come up with this musical style in the first place?
Good afternoon, everyone. I think I learned from the greats. Before me, there was Osita Osadebe, there was Bright Chimezie, there was Oliver the Cook. These guys are huge, talented, creative, high life mysterios. I learned from them, but coming out, I had to invent my own style, having learned from them. So I think that's what I did, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
As we just learned from the episode we saw from the Afrobeats backstory, the origins of Afrobeats are quite contested. Question to all panelists: how would you describe the origins of Afrobeats? I mean, I guess we could talk for this for an whole hour, but maybe you have some ideas that you can briefly share with us.
Well, I think Afrobeat is an African sound. It's an African genre. In Africa, there are different genres, not just Afrobeat. You know, right now, I think it started with, from what I know, I think it started with Fela Nicola Bokuti, which I think he made it popular, like he popularized Afrobeats. I think probably there could be other guys before him, but he was the one that made it popular, that made it known to, you know, every listener around the world. Also with his, not just the sound, also with his stance in terms of African development and growth. Yeah, that's what I know about Fela Nicola Bokuti. I know that he's the one that popularized it. And also his sound is kind of Afrobeats, is also rich in, with African rhythms. I think he infused a lot of jazz to it. If you listen to his the horns arrangement, you could hear a bit of jazz to it. That obviously was something I think he got when he studied in the UK and all that. So it's also, so you know, overall, I would say Afrobeat is a blend of, you know, different African sounds. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Ayo, since you
Yes.
followed the evolution of the music since over 20 years,
Yes.
maybe you can tell us your idea of the origins.
Okay, so there's this question has been asked globally, that what exactly is, or what is the definition of Afrobeats with the S? And I can tell you right now, because I've been doing this for quite a long time. Afrobeats, the definition of Afrobeats is African rhythms fused with pop music. It's as simple as that. African rhythms fused with pop music. It's the fusion of African rhythms with pop rhythms. Now, let's break this down. Let's break down the African rhythms. He's just explained it to you. There's high life. There's there's high life from the eastern part of Nigeria, where he comes from, and then there's high life from Ghana, even though originally high life is from Ghana. But their style of high life is more about the language, about a lot of guitars. One name you didn't mention, I grew up in Surulere. I grew up around a lot of Igbo people in Surulere when I lived in, when I was growing up in Nigeria. Oriental Brothers. Oriental Brothers is a band by some friends. I think there are a couple of brothers, the Opala brothers and everything. But you see, we didn't understand their language. But you see the groove and the rhythms and the guitar, we love it. So we used to sing the songs, even though we don't speak Igbo. The part we listen to is Egweo, Egweo, you know. I love it when I was growing up. So that's African rhythms, but African rhythms mixed with pop music. What is pop music? Pop music is popular music. The three main pop music that is infused in Afrobeats is hip-hop first. When we're looking for a name for Afrobeats, we used to call it Afro-hip-hop. So we're doing African hip-hop. I'm sitting right now next to Pretty. Pretty, these are the pioneers of what we call Afrobeats today. This man right here, I'm not kidding. There was a group, there was a duo called Junior and Pretty. Obviously, it's the pretty one. and God bless Junior. Junior passed away a few years ago. These are our pioneers. They started rapping in our pidgin English over what we call hip-hop beats. They started it all. Before we now started putting other stuff like dancehall to it. Oh, sorry, let me get back. The pop music, hip-hop first, dancehall second. I mean, we're at the Reggae University, so we must know the importance of reggae in the building up of Afrobeats. Hip-hop first, dancehall, which is from reggae, and then R&B. R&B now can be R&B soul and whatever, and then anything you want to experiment with. But the three main pop music that is fused in Afrobeats is hip-hop first, dancehall second, and R&B. That's basically what it is. Afrobeats is the fusion of African rhythms with pop music. That's basically what Afrobeats is.
Thank you. Yeah, maybe it's a good time to play a song by Junior and Pretty, who, as you said, were like early originators of Afrobeats. I'm going to play a song from 1994, Bolanle.
Fine, fine lady. Fine, fine sexy. Ma fi mi sílẹ̀ o. Dúró tì mí yẹ. Fa mi mọ́ra o. Òtútù mú mi yẹ. Ooh. Ah. Ooh. Ah. Ketu alápẹ̀rẹ̀ yẹ. Alápẹ̀rẹ̀. Ketu alápẹ̀rẹ̀ yẹ. Alápẹ̀rẹ̀. Ẹ̀wọ̀. Ayi. Alápẹ̀rẹ̀. Ẹ̀wọ̀. Ayi. Alápẹ̀rẹ̀. Ẹ̀wọ̀.
Arriba! This is now the story of pastor daughter. This girl love me, and me self I love her. But family problem no let us stay together. I can't do baller for one kind corner. I can't open up my mouth now, so I can't tell her.
That's the first Afrobeat song.
The song is 7 minutes long, but I think we get an idea. Pretty, how did you come up with that concept, which led to so much more? How did you come up with this? Was there somebody before you who tried this, or? Tell us.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. We wanted to do, Gina and I wanted to do something different. We didn't want to do reggae like regular people were doing reggae then. Reggae was the main brand of music, genre of music then. We didn't want to do highlight because we can't sing like Oliver the Cook. We didn't want to do Fela. It's hard for us to move his crowd. We couldn't sing to save our life like Michael Jackson. So we decided to create a brand of music that will be accepted on the street because we're from the street. And we called it then, it started with being urban music. But creating the potpourri of sound, taking a bit of high life, a bit of Afrobeat, a bit of pop, a bit of reggae into it. We call it potpourri of genres. And that's why we gave it that name, Afro hip hop. But when, after 10, 15 years, when the idea of Afrobeat came up, that's when I felt fulfilled that like, finally, this was what we were looking for. So when people start creating misconception about Afrobeat and Afrobeats, or why are they, like, they didn't know what we went through to create that brand of music, and they wouldn't even understand where we're planning to take the brand of music to. And I should give people like Ayo glory and kudos here, because he was the first person that came out boldly to speak about Afrobeat. Then everybody was scared to even do a documentary. So when Ayo did it, everybody started talking about it. And that's how the brand of music, the genre of music became popular and started going everywhere. Yes, the name I think the name came from London, or it came from wherever. But the fact was, it was directed to African music. It was directed to our brand of music. It was meant to project Nigerian street and urban music. Thank you.
Okay, fast forward to the present. A question to Shopsy and Ayo. Musical explosions are often connected with political or cultural changes. Do you see the explosion of Afrobeats as maybe communicating anything about cultural changes in Nigeria?
Check. How's everybody doing? So I know there's been different conversations about the fact that some of the younger Afrobeats musicians might not be infusing a lot of socially conscious lyrics into their music. However, I would like to dispel that, and I'll tell you why. Growing up in the UK, spending over 20 years in the UK, I know what it felt like to be African. We had no place, not only in society in terms of social environments. There were no nightclubs that were playing African music. African music wasn't on the radio. It wasn't cool to be African. What people had seen on television were young children with flies around their mouths begging for food and money from the international community. So when African pop music as Afrobeats now started to break, when we started playing it on radio, SHONAIYA on television, there was a new generation of Africans born and raised in the UK and across Europe that suddenly started to feel a little bit more seen, a little bit more confidence that their young brothers and sisters could dress like the international artists, could sing like the international artists. So for the first time, we saw second-generation Africans across Europe and now America start saying that they are actually Africans, rather than I'm from Spain, I'm from England. And I believe that movement started solely because of the success of this Afrobeats music. So even if socially conscious lyrics were not infused in the music, social consciousness came through the popularity of the music. Now the dancers, that's Makuria there, one of the most incredible dancers that have promoted Afrobeats music from Spain into UK. Now they started teaching other people the dance of African music because the music became popular. Although a lot of the lyrics were not conscious, but the movement in itself and the success made people awake and the consciousness started from there. That would be my own summation.
So you're saying that not cultural changes brought forth Afrobeats, but Afrobeats brought forth cultural changes?
Absolutely. I think Afrobeats music added the African culture to pop culture. So now you're looking at some of the biggest stars, Chris Brown, Jason Derulo, Beyonce, Usher. Now not only are their music starting to bring in Afrobeats, but their dance routines are inspired by the dancers too. So because of the new generation of musicians and the popularity, the culture changes have now been exchanged purely because of that.
Ayo, you have anything to add?
Oh, yes, I do. Just last week, a program on a podcast on YouTube, I saw, and I sent you the clip as well, Buju Banton.
Drink Champs?
Drink Champs, yes. Buju Banton, who's a legend. We love him in Nigeria, we love him all over the world. He said that Afrobeats is not revolutionary, or their lyrics is not, freeing Africa. I mean, Africa is not in bondage anymore. But what he said, seriously, that's what he was saying. But what I thought what I know that he did was he made a mistake by mixing up Afrobeat without the S and Afrobeats with the S. You see, there's a difference. Just like in the documentary you just saw, Sheun said Afrobeat is calling on your revolutionary instinct as an African. That's what Fela was talking about. Fela was rebellious. It was against the status quo. It's against elite, downgrading, the masses. That is what Afrobeat is. Afrobeat is about speaking against injustice, speaking against oppression, speaking, that was what was happening in the 60s and 70s. But you see, Afrobeats with the S is enjoyment music. Really. There's no shame in that. I mean, there are some people like Fowles, like African China. These people will sing about injustice, but these are the Idris Abdul Karim, Nigeria Jaga Jaga. He's an Afrobeats artist, but he's speaking about the injustice. So basically, he's taking a bit of Afrobeats, the rebellious side of Afrobeats, and bleeding into Afrobeats. But most Afrobeats artists, we want to sing about, you saw Wizkid there. He just wants to sing about girls, make money, drive nice cars, and that's valid. You understand? So what Buju Banton was doing is he was putting the responsibility of Afrobeats without the S on Afrobeats, and that was the mistake that he made. And that's why we have things like this, Reggae University, where we can teach and educate people. Do you get what I'm saying? So Afrobeat is revolutionary music. Afrobeats on the other side is enjoyment music.
No, but in addition to that,
in addition to the enjoyment,
all the great musicians, including the one sitting right next to me now, make music that speaks to our consciousness outside of the enjoyment music. The Wizkid you spoke about, Oju Elegba, is talking about the struggles of the Nigerian people. Burna Boy's Soke was speaking to the Nigerian difficulties and the problems faced by the community. Lack of electricity, lack of water, lack of Rara by Techno Miles. And if you go across into Ghana, some of the biggest Afrobeats and Afropop musicians also have specific songs that talk about the problems and the society problems that we have. However, Africans, especially in the last 20 years, haven't gone through what our forefathers went through over 50, 60 years consistently. Not only fighting colonialism, but fighting injustice within the governments and oppression, got to a point where we really just wanted to have a little bit of fun. And the new generation musicians tapped into that spirit where they wanted to uplift our people with the music.
Chopsy, just to make a quick point. Look at the difference between reggae and dancehall. When reggae, Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, U-Roy, I-Roy,
the
Wailers, all these people, they were singing about the struggles and everything. But dancehall is talking about, enjoyment and the women, and It's the same thing. Afrobeats was talking about the revolutionary and everything in Africa, but the Afrobeats is more of the enjoyment music. So that's basically what it is.
Thank you. Since we are at a reggae festival, I would like to look at the connection between Afrobeats and Jamaican music. And I guess a good way to do that is to start with a song by FLAVOUR called Black is Beautiful.
From afar, she just a shine like a morning light. Yeah. I can see very clear, she just a shine in a broad daylight. Yeah. And she was walking, and I was watching every step and the move she was making. She is adoring, I am admiring her hips and her curves. Yeah. Beauty is a natural thing, original thing, and a mysterious thing. Yeah. Raise up my voice and
okay, it's kind of obvious that like artists like Burna Boy, Stonebwoy, Pato Ranking, Shatta Wali, Olamide, they're all influenced heavily by mostly dancehall, but also reggae. FLAVOUR, what impact did reggae have on you when you grew up, or even when you already played music?
Yeah, like you rightly said, every African artist I know of has been inspired by reggae music. There's no African artist that will come out and say, oh, I didn't get one or two from reggae music. We were all inspired by reggae music because back in the days growing up, we see a lot of Bob Marley, we heard a lot of Lucky Dube, we heard a lot of U-Roy and so on and so forth. So myself, growing up as an artist, I started out from, playing in a band, and we had a large repertoire that consists of, Bob Marley. Like, for example, myself, I know how to sing and how to play 80% of Bob Marley songs. Not just sing, not just play, but perform them. Because I used to do that in the local bars in the eastern part of Nigeria, just to entertain the people that came out to have fun. So I entertained them with singing reggae music. And then at some point, I put the background sound and then make a freestyle out of it. So that way, I was so deep into reggae music. Lucky Dube as well, Peter Tosh. And then the Black is Beautiful song that I did is also something I got from an inspiration from Peter Tosh when he's saying, as long as you're a black man, you're an African, And then I was like, okay, let me talk about how black is beautiful. Let me tell the people that black is beautiful. Talk about the beauty in being black as a woman and not trying to bleach or, and all that. Just be original. So reggae music, it has so much impact on Afrobeats. I know for sure that there is no African artist, Burna Boy, Wizkid, all of us we can never ever say, before we even start listening to, start going deep with Fela and all, the reggae music was just in front of you, And if you listen to Afrobeats well, you could still feel it. It's so deep.
Anybody want to add to that?
I just wanted to say, in my opinion, the biggest ever musicians that ever lived are Michael Jackson and Bob Marley. You can go anywhere in Africa, villages where there are no electricity, no television, we listen to Bob Marley music. And Flavor mentioned some of the artists today from Afrobeats as a culture. Some of these guys are originally dancehall musicians. Wizkid is a reggae dancehall musician. Burna Boy is a reggae dancehall. That's their foundation before they started pulling from their African heritage to blend the music. That's how instrumental reggae music is to Afro pop or Afro beats. And when those struggles were happening, be it South Africa, be it Nigeria, the music, uplifting music that we all listen to, in addition to Afrobeat, Fela, and High Life, was reggae music. Raskimono, some of our greatest legends from Nigeria, Majek Fashek, who had his song, So Long, was the official soundtrack for Malcolm X movie that came in 1993. So that showed you how impactful his reggae music was to the world global stage.
And I will also add that, you see, this reggae music we're talking about, we never used to talk about it. I mean, maybe I'm showing my age now. I grew up in Nigeria in the 70s. I'm 55 years old. I'm going to be 56 soon. And I grew up at the time. I grew up around Fela. From my age 6 to maybe 10, I used to go to Fela's house, sit on the floor, listen to him, speak to people, speak to his, do rehearsals, eat, smoke. I wasn't smoking at 6, but, that's what they were doing. But you see, a lot of what they were doing is part of that reggae culture, including the weed. I mean, I'm not being funny because we're at Rototom, including the weed. It is part of what they believe exactly, the Rastafari. Is what they believe that gives them the inspiration to bring out the music. That's the reason why they all smoke weed, not because of any health reasons or anything. It's part, that basically it's like a cut and paste of Jamaican lifestyle and the music. And let me say something. There's an artist called Jimmy Cliff. Jimmy Cliff, we love Bob Marley, but Jimmy Cliff was special because Jimmy Cliff looked like one of us because he didn't have the dreads. So he's a reggae guy, but he looks just like any other guy with like a afro. And then he made a film called The Harder They Come. Trust me, Bob Marley never made a film in Nigeria. Jimmy Cliff made a film, Harder They Come. We were embedded in the Jamaican and reggae culture. It is part of our music. I'm shooting right now the 2nd season of Afrobeats, The Backstory. And I went to Jamaica. I wanted to speak to Jamaicans. I wanted to be in Jamaica. I wanted to see how Afrobeats. And I just realized that apart from the fact that Kingston looks like Lagos, it's the same thing. Apart from that, the music is, it's the same people. We are the same people. We are the same people. So the music coming out from Africa, from Jamaica, is the same thing. Maybe a little bit of a variation. Ghana, we have the 5-beat pattern. Just like in reggae, they have that. My brother always asks, why did they start every reggae song with drums? And then the bass. That's what it is. We lived in that reggae music, Jamaican culture. So when we look at Afrobeats and dancehall now, I say they are cousins, but maybe they are brothers, we don't know. That's how heavy reggae music influenced music in Nigeria. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Ayo, for that submission. I wanted to reiterate what I said before. When we started, the template we had was reggae music. But I said we couldn't sing like Bob Marley. There's no way we would have been able to compete in that genre. So what happened was we took the template, a bit of that, a bit of this. But if you also listen, if you had played that song more, you will see where I came in with a chant. So we were already playing reggae dancehall in the 90s, but we're infusing it with our brand of street music that we called Afro hip hop that has transcended to Afrobeat. So it's basically the same template.
That's what it is.
Yeah, maybe just to add, I thought it was kind of funny to see when, for example, Stonebwoy or even Burna Boy came to Jamaica. They were superstars, yes, but they turned into fans also. You could see they are fans of what is going on there.
Can I quickly, sorry, I don't want to be the one talking too much. I want to tell you a little story. So when I went to Jamaica, a friend of mine who I went to law school with, Jason, he said, let's go around and go to different clubs in Kingston and see if they're playing Afrobeats. So we went to 4 clubs that night. So the first 3 that we went to Jenga's. I don't know if anybody is from Kingston here. There's a Jenga's, yeah. We went to Jenga's. They were playing Afrobeats. It was an Afrobeats night. We went to another club. We waited until they put a little bit of Yemi Alade. I'm like, okay, that's close enough. We went to another club. They play Afrobeats. And then we went to Stone Love on a Wednesday, Weddy Wednesday. So my friend Jason was telling me that I don't know if they're going to play any Afrobeats here because, this is Stone Love. It's Jamaica, like reggae, dancehall. I don't think Afrobeats is going to. When we got there, really, they didn't play any Afrobeats. But we enjoyed the night, and then we left. So I said to myself, at least 3 out of 4. Guess what? A week after, this is after Burna Boy had come to play at the National Stadium. He came back on his birthday trip, and he went to Weddy Wednesdays. He went just as a guest, as a fan. So he went with his security. He was in the, and then I saw it on YouTube. When he was leaving, the guy now called him and said, hey, Burna, where are you going? You can't come to Weddy Wednesdays and not bless us. So they had to call him on stage. And as he was coming on stage, a beautiful moment, he was coming on stage and they put on Yay. By the time he got to the microphone, it was Yay, Yay, Yay. And I saw everybody at Stone Love doing Yay, 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 Yay. I'm like, I called my friend Jason. I said, you were wrong. They are playing Afrobeats at Weddy Wednesday. So Afrobeats is in Jamaica. And I just thought that was just a lovely story. They love Burna in Jamaica because, his name used to be Burna Rankin. That was his nickname before. He's a pure dancehall artist that has become one of the biggest Afrobeats artists now. So I just wanted to share that story. I think that story was a nice story.
At the same time, even though Africa and Africanness is highly celebrated in Jamaica by many Jamaican artists, a lot of them seem to feel maybe a little threatened by the success of Afrobeats. At least I hear different artists complain about Afrobeats. How do you feel about this?
Personally, I don't think it's a threat or a feeling of threat. I believe that it is the residue of historical negative donations and stories that have been implanted in the black community as I see it. The initial stories that you hear of slavery and colonization is that their brothers in Africa sold them into slavery, which was never true. The reality was the people that had the power stole certain people and forcefully removed them and took them abroad. Their brothers and sisters didn't have any hand in that because we had no control. We were being oppressed. So we had no guns, we had no gunpowder, we were just as oppressed as those that were taken away. So that's the first story. Now fast forward to the 20th century. Again, the record labels have infiltrated a rising genre of music, Afro-pop and Afro-beats. And what they had done over the last 20 years was tap into what you would refer to as the urban culture, black music. When hip-hop was at its prime, the record labels took advantage, and once hip-hop had its downturn, they left it alone. They did the same thing to reggae and dancehall. Once reggae was at its finest, dancehall was incredible. Buju Banton, Shabba Ranks, Yellow Man, Leroy, Sean Paul. After it was milked and done, they left it alone and was looking for another trend. Enter Afrobeats and Afropop. What do? You go straight to that and start to also project and empower Afrobeats because that's where they want to make the money from. And by doing that, the term always is, oh, now our dancehall and reggae is done. This is where we're going. So if you are a reggae dancehall musician, and that's the story that gets into your ears from the boardrooms and from the marketing standpoint, you will have a little resentment towards what they say is coming to take your place. It's not something that they personally want to feel, you know. And we also have to do something. I believe that as Africans, it's our responsibility that as the Caribbeans from Jamaica are making Africa a spiritual journey, we have to make the Caribbean a spiritual journey too. We have to go to Jamaica. We have to go to Barbados. We have to go to Grenada and show that it's not just about you coming home to Africa. We want to go home too. And by doing that, a lot of these negative rumors and negative energy will be dispelled, because if you look at the origination of those rumors, it was never us. Never the Jamaicans, nor the Africans. It's the money people getting infused and starting to meddle with the stories.
Anybody else want to comment on that?
On the same stuff that he talked about, the truth is we've been trying to liberate ourselves. And liberating ourselves is to sell this self-consciousness to Africans. If we believe the words of the investors, I know I call them investors every time, because they invest in a genre, they invest in a community, they invest in our talent because they want to separate us. They want to create segregation. I don't see why the Jamaicans, right, will think Afrobeat or Afropop is about taking over their brand of music, or they feel there's a competition somewhere. No, we're all working as a team, as a family. We're going to one direction, and the direction is to make Africa great. We're trying to pursue and portray our image as great Africans. And as a black, once you're black, it doesn't matter where you are, where you're staying from. There's a brand of music that's coming out of the black origin, and that's what we're selling. And there shouldn't be a divide between Afrobeat, reggae, dancehall, or Afrobeats. So I practically, every time Ayo knows about that, I try to avoid that discussion, because I do not want to create divide with my brothers. I do not want to get in that mentality of this is my own, this is your own, this is their own. I always want to believe that we're always and will be working for one goal, and which is to unify Africa.
One love.
I actually wanted to play another song, but I think time is running out, so I leave that out. But maybe to talk about the current state of Afrobeats. Shopsy just said something very crucial, I think, that you know, there's always like a phase of hype when something becomes big and everybody's talking about it, and after a while, people turn away to the next genre, and then they celebrate that. So where do you see Afrobeats right now? Is it fit for the future? Can it, you know, maintain that status that it has right now? Or is it going the same direction as every genre does after a while?
I think so far so good. Afrobeats has been, you know, doing its thing, but I also think it's time for the world to understand that Afrobeat is not the only genre in African music. Let me not just say Afrobeats. Africa as a whole is popping right now. Be it the music, be it fashion, be it culture, food, everything about Africa is popping. People want to know more. They want to see more. A lot of people are going to see what Africa is like and all. I think now it's time, because Afrobeat is now, you know, on the forefront, for it to last longer, we as a people, we have to let the people understand that there's more in Africa than just Afrobeats. There's high life, there's rumba, there's Fuji, there's so much, you know. And when that happens, then there's future for African music in general. You know, so
that was actually my next question because I heard the podcast.
yeah. So yeah, I think it is what it is.
Since you watched the podcast, if you haven't, it's the AFROBEATS podcast. I had the legend FLAVOUR Nabanya on it. I've said recently that the novelty of AFROBEATS has gone. So when it surprised a lot of people where, oh, what's this new sound? What's this new dance? That's done now. So when they're speaking about genres of music, they add Afrobeats automatically now. Hip-hop, reggae, dancehall, Afrobeats, R&B. So we've ticked that box. Afrobeats is now in the conversation. But to what FLAVOUR said, that is the future of Afro music, which is African music. Now, there has to be an expansion, an infusion of all the other sounds across Africa. We see the rise of Amapiano now. You know, Amapiano is an African sound, and now it's completely dominating the face of dance music. That's what people want to enjoy across the world. That's an arm. Now we see bongo flavor with Diamond Platinums pushing heavily from the eastern side of Africa and into Fali Pupa with rumba. You know, that's where we have to go. For Afro beats to survive, African music has to thrive.
And just to quickly add to that, going back to when I went to Jamaica, somebody said to me, he said, don't let what happened to dancehall happen to Afrobeats. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you know, when the Americans came with the hip-hop, you know, when dancehall was the #1 music genre, you know, in the world, the Sean Paul, Beanie Man, they were all doing features, featuring on, you know, Beyonce and everything. So everybody was in love with dancehall then. All of a sudden, you know, where are they now? Now they've shifted to Afrobeats. They've done the exact same thing with Afrobeats. When Beyonce did the same thing, he got all the Burna Boys and Tiwa Savage and everybody. He said, those investors, those people that you call investors, don't let them come in, divide us, kill it, and then move to something else. What we should do ourselves is to make sure that even though Afrobeats is now, it should last forever. It's as simple as, because reggae is one thing you cannot scrub away. You cannot scrub away reggae. It's going to last forever. Just make sure that the business side follows the music. Imagine if Afrobeats and dancehall combine right now. It's a major force. Major force. And then add a little bit of hip-hop, game over. We have to look at the business side. As I'm sitting here, I'm getting messages. I'm a lawyer as well, so I have a music publishing company. So a lot of people, the early Afrobeats artists like OJB, Idris Abdul Karim, they are now using their songs as sample. We've gotten to the point where Ashake just did a song with Travis Scott. He used the song by Ayuba, what's the guy? Jasmine Olofin. You understand? I'm a lawyer as well, so I'm doing the music publishing as we're here. They're sending me messages. I'm like, I'm at a seminar, but please don't disturb me. But that's what it is. We have to make sure we get the business right. Once we get the business right and become our own investors, nothing can stop us. So it's not just Afrobeats to the world, it's Afrobeats forever.
Thank you. That would take us to creating a template for sustainability. That has been what we've been working towards. Once we're able to create a template to sustain our brand of music, then we can have it for the next 40, 50 years. We'll have people that are in business of music, in business of creation, in business of creating structure for African music, for Afrobeat. Then we will not feel the way dancehall is feeling now. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. I would like to open it up to the other panelists to put their questions to our special guests and then also to the audience.
Yeah, check. Yeah, thank you for helping us to better understand the evolution of Afrobeats and some of the complex issues that are involved in its acceptance. I'm curious about, we know that music genres such as Afrobeats don't stand still for long, same way with reggae and dancehall. I would like each of you to enlighten the good people here at Rototom Sunsplash about some artists that you feel are representing the future of Afrobeats. Who's upcoming now and why are they important?
Rema.
So tell us a little bit about why.
You know what I think they're doing with Rema? When I say they, I mean record company and how they're selling him. Rema is sound. If you just listen to a Rema song without him being on the song, you listen to it, it's Afrobeats. There's the 5-beat pattern, the African rhythms is there. They mix it up a little bit, throw in a bit of whatever it is. But what they're doing with Rema now is to make him appeal to the world. Not just, when they did the Calm Down remix with Selena Gomez, that's the first billion streamed song, Afrobeat song. So what they're doing is they're compounding on that to make it even wider. We're talking about going to Japan, going to China, going to India. You see this, these people that love anime. There's a whole world of people that love anime. Those are the people that, his dressing, the way he sings. Sometimes we are Nigerians, we don't even know what he's saying. You understand? Okay. He will just say, there's a song I was talking to him on the bus now. There's a song called Ha 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 Ha. You understand? He say, "Why you talking about me while I'm making money? Ha 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 ha." Traditionally, that's not Afrobeat, but it's on an Afrobeat beat, so it qualifies. So for me, I think Rema is the future of Afrobeats, and time will tell what I'm saying now to be true.
Thank you. Yes, other panelists? Yeah.
For me, if we're looking at younger artists, I think I believe Ruga to be one of the artists for the future. And one of the interesting things about Ruga that I like is that he is also a dancehall musician. So his base is reggae dancehall, but he can do everything else. And one thing that excites me about him is that he's learning from the greats. He's adding to his performances on stage. He can sing, he can entertain, and I think that has a lot to do with what keeps you and puts you in position going forward, because the viral TikTok moments are done. If you're not a musician, you will not survive anymore.
Okay. I really don't know if you guys are paying attention to our brand of music. There's a guy called CK. Yeah, sometimes we call him an underdog, but he has load of music behind him. If we're going to look towards the future, right, these are the kind of people that will be celebrating on the stage in the next 5-10 years. They have a whole lot pack that they need to unpack. He has a way of writing his songs and his interpretation of music and lyrics that brings out the feeling that you were not even imagining. The guy took me off my feet one time that I heard the song that I underplayed. I won't play it on my stereo, but it was on a viral stage. So that means there's something that other people heard that I didn't hear. There's something they saw that I couldn't see. So we have a whole lot of these boys that we could go to bed as, apart from FLAVOUR, me and Egbon here were old. He say he's 55, right? I'm chasing him behind. So the sort of things that we haven't seen and we can't even interpret, but it's going to come to play. Thank you.
Okay, Pierre, go ahead.
I have a question about the musical industry behind Afrobeat. So how's the musical environment that generated Afrobeat in Nigeria? I mean, which kind of world is? You have small producers, a concept of independent producer. It's a struggling between small fishes versus bigger companies. So I'm wondering, how is the situation?
Okay. So in terms of what I just talked about as the business, right? The industry is I won't say it's in the infancy anymore, but the way we discover artists is still the same. Let me tell you a story about a young producer called Prime. Prime is the one, if you look at the credits on Wizkid's album, I think it has 8 songs. If you look at the credits on Asha, you know, the female artist, if you look at it, it has about 8 credits. So this boy is, I met him when he was 16 years old. He used to be in my office, and because he did a little camp, a workshop, producer's workshop called SARS Academy, started by SARS. SARS is actually a producer, SARS is the one that produced Active for Ashake and Travis Scott. So he started a little bit of an academy teaching young producers. So this is our golden boy that came out of that. So Prime is the one that is now, they are feeding him with a lot of influences around the world. He keeps the core of Afrobeats, but he infuses sounds from all over the world in a way that, just to sustain it, just like you say. So the industry in itself is building inwards. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, we're protecting the sound, and we're building from inwards so that we don't lose our, what's the word? We don't lose our core. That, I think, is the most important thing, because if you take the music, no, the beat out, it's not Afrobeats. The beat is Afrobeats. Whatever it is that you do on it will be Afrobeats because of the beats. Do you get what I'm saying? So we focus a lot more on the producers and the young producers coming up so that we can sustain this genre for a long, long time. That's the plan.
I want to hear what FLAVOUR wants to say about up and coming. Who do you see in the future?
Okay, for the future, I would say I'm taking on Ashake. Why I'll say Ashake is, apart from, you know, the business side, because one thing about business, it fluctuates. You never can tell. You might think you're getting it right now. Tomorrow, everything will just change with, you know, the market inflation and all. But in terms of sound, if the sound is original, there's always a way to go around it, because it's going to be there for a long time. We're talking about Afrobeats today because of the people that started it, what they did with it. Now we can never take them away. We're talking about reggae music is because of what they did with it, you know, from the get-go. If they didn't do that, if the sound, reggae music, if it's not an original sound, by now we won't be talking about it. Okay, so the business side is always going to be there. It depends on who's handling it. Who handles it, controls it. So for me, why I say Ashake is, Ashake, as you know, we will call it, is because of the originality in his sound. There's this Fuji sound I understand so well from Nigeria. There's a genre called Fuji. And what he's doing with it is amazing. Even if you get to see his performances, it's different. And with that sound, you can never go wrong. Some other guy is still going to come and stand on it and build also, do more with it, like what he's doing now. So that's why I say Ashake, because I know for a fact that originality will never go away. I missed everything. Thank you.
Okay, our time is actually up, but I still would like to give the audience the opportunity to at least ask 1 or 2 questions to our special guest. So, anybody have a question? Anybody have a question?
Yep.
Hello. Pleasant day, everyone. I asked this question yesterday. What I want to ask is,
do you have any pre-show rituals? Like before you perform, do you like do some stuff before? Pre-show rituals.
Oh, yeah, of course. First of all, before I perform, I check myself because there's this thing I want to feel, which is, I call it good nervousness. Because when you're about to face a crowd, like I'm coming in today, I'm looking at the crowd, different people, from different places. I have to feel that nervousness, because that will drive me to, bringing out my best. I'm bringing out something that I'm not seeing at the moment, but I know once I'm out that stage, I'm gonna see. So I just take a quiet time and try to feel and see, and not just try, and see if I'm feeling that. If I'm, then I know it's gonna be a good show. If I'm not, if I'm too relaxed, then I'm looking at myself like, oh, hey, you're not feeling this, so what are you gonna do about it? So for me, it's very, very important that I feel that. That's what I call my, ritual or whatever. Yeah.
And then at the part of the show when you take your shirt off, girls go, wow! Don't worry, you guys should watch Flavor tonight. It's one of the best, in terms of live band. This is the guy right here, live band. You know, a lot of Afrobeats artists, just like rappers, they just, play me track 2. They start to jump around. Flavors, yeah, this guy live. Don't worry, don't let me say anything. You'll see him tonight.
No, for me, I think it's the same thing. The moments where you just take a quiet time, because I MC and host the shows, so I started stealing from the real musicians. So I have practices that I do with my voice just to warm it up a little bit so I don't lose it. Because initially when I started to MC and host, within 1 hour, the voice is gone. So they told me you have to go and watch what the musicians do. And then I kind of give myself a little vocal warm up, take a quiet time, so make sure that, everything is warmed up properly, and then we can go and jump and shout on stage. But that's the pre-show ritual.
Okay, we have one more question from the audience.
Good afternoon. One question. What do you think about the Afro music is in another countries than normally don't listen that kind of music? What do you think about? I became from Colombia. Right now in Colombia, many people is listening Afro music. What do you think about that kind of countries is listening now Afro music? What is that future with that kind of countries?
Well, I can, it's a good thing you said you were from Colombia. My first daughter, my first child, she works for Boiler Room, and she does shows and Afrobeats for sub-Saharan Africa. They put up, events, and South America. Right now, my daughter is in Medellin. Yeah, she called me 2 days ago. She said, I'm doing a show, Afrobeats, in Medellin. I said, Medellin? Of course, when you hear Medellin, they'll be like, just be careful. She said, it's the most beautiful place. She said, it's the most beautiful place. It's peaceful and everything. And she sent me videos of people in Colombia dancing to Afrobeats. I'm like, wow. I never thought it would be there. It gladdens my heart anytime I see, some countries where they don't even, I used to work in, he's talking about Fuji music before. I used to be a manager for K1 The Ultimate, the biggest Fuji artist, and we traveled everywhere. The greatest concert that I ever did with him was perform in Japan, where nobody speaks our language. They don't even understand English. They don't even understand English. So, but the thing is, we did a radio interview before we did the show. So the guy was asking my artist, I was sitting next to him in the radio station. He said, so tell us, what is Fuji music? Can you describe it? He said, well, it's drums, and more drums. So that's what we thought. We thought, okay, when we go and perform somewhere where nobody speaks the language and they don't know the music, let's just do 20 minutes of just drumming. So we went out there. The first thing we did, we played 20 minutes of just drums without any singing. The crowd was jumping before he actually started singing. This is what we do. We go to countries where they don't know our music and introduce our music. We have to enter with how they will feel it. And for us, it's the drums. And I believe it's the same thing with Afrobeats. When you start an Afrobeat show, before the artist comes out, SHOPSYDOO is out there getting the crowd going, it's a lot of drums. It's a lot of to hype up the crowd. That is how we enter. So once you feel that, you want to buy the records, or you want to stream, you want to watch the videos, and if we do anything else, you want to join. And that's basically, I think I answered your question. For a country where they don't know, we enter with the drums.
I just wanted to say, for me, a couple of years ago, we were at Puerto Rico and for Afro Nation, and whilst we were there, I took a tour around, the city, and they took me to a place where the Africans were taken to. In Puerto Rico, hundreds of years ago. And whilst I was there, then I learned that, the Puerto Ricans are originally a mixture of Africans, Indians, and all sorts of people coming together. And in Colombia, you have Africans, in Mexico, in Brazil. So for me, I think the future is the mixture of sounds from reggaeton and Afrobeats, Colombian music and Afrobeats. We are tapping into the different sounds, because originally some of the major sounds coming from Latin America originated from the rumba sound.
Bossa Nova, the clave.
Exactly.
That clave, ba, 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 ba. That 5-beat pattern is the bedrock of Afrobeats. Listen to any song from Sensational, Chris Brown. You can hear it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If it's in high life, it's in Afrobeat, it's in, so it's that same thing. That same 5-beat pattern is called clave when they play Bossa Nova in South America. So in a way, everything is all linked. Everything is linked. Yeah. And it's coming together.
Okay, thank you. We are going to screen another episode from the Afrobeats The Backstory series in a few minutes. It's called DJs, Producers, and Dancehall Music. So there will be some reference to reggae and other Jamaican music.
Can I just say one thing? I want you to watch this episode, because before Burna Boy, everybody knows Burna Boy here, but before Burna Boy, there used to be an artist called Shank. Shank was our #1 dancehall artist before Burna Boy came along. And towards the end of this episode you're going to watch, you're going to see how that transition from how Burna Boy used to look up to Shank and what he took from Shank to become Burna Boy today. So you see that lineage of reggae into Afrobeat. So if you guys want to ask, I'll be watching it with you. If you guys want to ask me any question after, I'll be available to answer any of your questions and everything from the documentary, or just want to speak to me or something, I'll be available for that.
So I highly recommend you stay around and take in the episode.
Stay around and watch it. It's only 32 minutes long.
In the meantime, I want to point out that FLAVOUR will be on the main stage at 9:45.
Yes. Come on, love it.
And SHOPSYDOO will, I think, spin some tunes at the Jamkunda stage at 11. Before we wrap it up for this year, I would like to thank the whole team: David, Pierre, Ellen, Sabrina, Julia, Roma, Hector, Fabi, and to all the special guests we had here during the week. And of course, to you, our loyal audience who rather stayed here in the tent instead of going to the beach in the afternoons. Thank you so much. And we hope to see you all next year for the 30th anniversary of Rototom Sunsplash. Thank you all.